a little quiet this morning. I want to get some energy up. So I'm not going to spend too much time introducing myself. Thank you for that really nice introduction about HubSpot also. But this next 45 minutes is really going to be a crash course on YouTube and how to turn YouTube into an acquisition channel for your business so you can drive revenue and customers from the platform. Before I get into my experience and what we did with Hubspot Academy's YouTube channel, I want to set the stage with why YouTube is a channel that can no longer be ignored. So I have a question for all of you. At your businesses, raise your hand if you have a YouTube channel. A pretty good amount. Now raise your hand if you have an actual strategy behind that channel. No one. Maybe one hand in the entire room. Okay, a couple in the back too. We see this all the time. So there were a lot of you who raised your hands when I said if you had a YouTube channel. If you don't, this is why you should. I always pull up these three statistics when I talk about YouTube. It's the third most trafficked site on the internet. 400 hours of content are uploaded every single minute, and 1 billion hours of content are consumed every single day on YouTube. We talk about big channels like Google. Every marketer leverages Google. No one would say, oh, we don't care about Google. Look at this volume. You should be thinking about YouTube in the exact same way. In the United States, YouTube reaches more 18 to 34-year-olds than any cable television network. But despite all of this, only 9% of small businesses globally have a YouTube presence at all. We're a bit more of an exception in this room, given that we're growth marketers. We see the value in YouTube. But this number gets even smaller when you slice it by companies that actually have a strategy. We saw that in real time here. We don't have as much data on mid-market and enterprise companies, but the real takeaway is that YouTube is far and away ignored by marketers around the world. I kind of see it like this, like we're burning money if we ignore YouTube. We're leaving money on the table, and if I told you you could be driving revenue, everyone would raise their hand for that opportunity. So now I want to talk a little bit about what we did with Hubspot Academy's YouTube channel. You all knew HubSpot, but Hubspot Academy is a B2C brand within HubSpot. We're a video marketing and education platform. We have content on marketing and sales and service that's free to the world. That's not a pitch for this, though, today. And then we also have tool demos for our users, both free and paid users. So about 18 months ago, I was approached by some people on our team, and they said, you know, we're starting to see some acquisition channel fatigue. What's our next acquisition channel that we should invest in? And given the fact that we are a video marketing platform, we had barely used YouTube. It seemed obvious. So when I inherited the channel, we did have one. It had been around for 3 years, but there was zero strategy in place for how we were leveraging it. But because we're HubSpot, thankfully we do have some organic value. And in 3 years' time, we had generated 6.7K subscribers and 237 video views. I say this openly because I know this will not be the case for all of you. These numbers are not insignificant, but it's where we started. Despite that, we knew there was a ton of upward potential. This is kind of how I felt when I took on the project, because I'm not someone that uses YouTube much in my personal life. I am not a YouTube marketer. I've been on our SEO team. I've done lead gen campaigns. But this was pretty much uncharted territory for me. I felt very out of my orbit, if you will. So I put on my astronaut suit. I started working with other marketers at other companies to learn what they were doing my research, built a strategy. And 17 months later, right around till today, this data is about a month old at this point, we have 38,000 subscribers to our channel and over 2 million video views. To quantify that, that's a 450% increase in subscribers, so even more than we're in the introduction, and an 800% increase in video views. I round up to 1,000 in my bio because it looks better, so I'm going to be honest with all of you, it's actually closer to 800. But that's a massive amount of growth in 17 months. And I want to teach you all the strategies so you can go back and do this at your businesses. If anyone here can shout out, I want to do a little activity. What's the largest search engine in the world? Google. Okay. Can someone name the second largest search engine in the world? Okay, so you're a really smart audience. Most people, when I ask that, yell like Yahoo or Bing. Yes, YouTube is the second largest search engine in the world. And like I said, no marketer would say, well, we ignore Google, so why are we ignoring the second biggest search engine in the world? I kind of think of YouTube's algorithm in two parts. There is your obvious technical SEO portion, your keywords, what words you target so the search engine can read your content. And then there's engagement. Search engines aim to be super friendly when they show content. They want to surface the best content for the user. So engagement is a really good signal to the algorithm that, yep, this content is working, we're showing the right stuff. So I want to unpack these two a bit today. For keywords, the most important thing is to identify the right keywords for your content. I can't give an exact recommendation because it really depends on the size of your company, the domain authority that you have. For HubSpot, we have so much content out on the internet that we have great domain authority, so we have the flexibility to target some really competitive keywords. That likely won't be the case for some of you in this room, and that's okay. So you want to consider monthly search volume, you want to consider how competitive keywords are, and you also want to prioritize for relevance. So you can use big, long-tail keywords that are more specific to your audience and try to rank for those rather than going after something big like email marketing or sales tips that likely aren't in reach for most companies. The next component, once you've identified the right keywords for you, there's a bunch of great tools out there, Ahrefs, Keywords Everywhere. TubeBuddy is another really great tool. I know Ugo's going to talk about that more, but that's one of our favorites for YouTube. Once you've picked the right keyword for your content, you want to make sure you put it in all of these places. Some of these, the first two, video file name and custom thumbnail file name, people forget about this. This is so important in the publishing process because you can't go back and reverse engineer it. So you want to make sure you plan your content in advance, and then you put that in the file name as you're uploading it. And then there's the obvious places, your title, your tags, which should be ordered by importance, and your description. This isn't about keyword stuffing. This is, again, about telling the search engine, this is what our content is about. You write really good descriptions, and you make it helpful for the user. It helps the search engine index it appropriately. This is what it looks like within the tool if you're not familiar with YouTube. So you can see this video, it's really obvious. We're talking about, can anyone tell from this? Email marketing, that's pretty clear. So it's in our title, it's in our description, it's reiterated in our description with new, fresh content, and you'll see on the right-hand side, it's in the file name. This is what it looks like. Here's some more of them too, our tags. And in our description, again, we link out to other relevant content that HubSpot has created that also backlinks to our video. We'll talk more about multi-channel promotion later, but this is also really critical for the algorithm. So you can see, again, it's not stuffing, but it's explaining what the video is. We're giving email marketing tools. We're talking about what is email marketing. We're talking about email marketing strategy. So again, it's showing relevance and helping the search engine read your content. So here's a few more pro tips when it comes to keywords. The first one, I talked about this, use accurate keywords. At HubSpot, because we have great domain authority, we could probably rank for anything. But we're not going to go out there and create videos about food tutorials when we sell marketing, sales, and service software. It just doesn't make sense. So you want your content to be accurate to your users. This will help create that bridge for acquisition. We talk about email marketing because we have an email marketing tool. We want to open the door for them to see, here's this great content. This is probably a great tool that goes along with it. The middle one is the most important one on this slide. When you're planning your content in advance, speak your keyword in the video. This is important for a couple of reasons. The first being, it'll get transcribed into your SRT files. Those are those captions on the bottom. YouTube won't do this automatically. We use a service called Rev. You should always be creating SRT files. This is a great accessibility best practice, so if you have hearing impaired users, they'll be able to engage with your content just like anybody else. And it's another tool to make the content readable for the search engine. It's like having a video and a blog post in tandem. Video inherently is not readable by YouTube, so you have to give extra pieces like an SRT file so it can digest that content. And then finally, we talked about this a little, and I'll talk about it at the end, but link your content. This is so good for the algorithm. Anyone who works in SEO knows backlinking is critical. You should be doing that with your videos too. But as I said, there's two parts to this first section on YouTube SEO. Keyword strategy, though, is not enough alone to rank on YouTube. Engagement is an absolutely critical component to getting your content to show up at the top. The more engaged a viewer is, the more sticky they will be, the more they'll come back to your channel, the more likely they are to be a subscriber, and the more likely it is that YouTube is going to continue to show your content. So some forms of engagement that you want to think about: comments, likes, upvotes and downvotes are both engagement, shares, subscribes, and then we're going to talk about view duration. So view duration in and of itself isn't really an engagement or hand-raising factor, but if someone is engaged, they're going to watch more of your video. And view duration is super important for YouTube because it's a stickiness factor. It's kind of like having the gum in your hands, which is exactly what YouTube wants from its viewers. When videos are sticky, when someone is staying until the end, the more likely they are to watch another video, to maybe bounce to another channel, to type in another search query, to come back to YouTube later on. And think about it. The longer someone's on YouTube, the more money YouTube can make from them, the more ads they can show, and it's better for you too. The more someone's watching your videos, the more likely they are to eventually make that leap to your products, your services, your website. So create good content and encourage engagement. So some ways to do this: ask for it. It's so fundamental, but you don't get what you don't ask for. We cue engagement all the time in our videos. We say, like this video, comment, tell us what you learned from this, tell us what we missed in this, how can we do better in our next video? What topics are you interested in hearing about next? These are great ways to get engagement, and you will be shocked when you ask for it how your engagement goes up. I don't have exact numbers, but I can tell you it was up and to the right. Green space all the way. So yeah, point to it, ask for it. Another great way is to pin a comment. That way, if you're reverse engineering your channel, if you already have videos out there and you can't re-record them and say, like, comment, subscribe, pin a comment that's thought-provoking, and then share that video on social. Share it to your email newsletters. People will then see that comment when they watch it, and they'll engage with you. We ask things all the time, like, what did you learn? What should we be doing next? Things that I just said. That's a really good way to do this retroactively. And then finally, leaning into the stickiness factor, package your videos into playlists. If you look at our Hubspot Academy channel, you'll see that we probably have 10 or 15 playlists. Things like email marketing, sales, services. We get really deep SEO playlists. This is a really good way to show content in sequence to get someone to stay on the channel longer. It's super helpful for the user because they don't have to go fishing around on YouTube to find that next piece of helpful content. They get it all in one place. So it's a great way to play into the algorithm to get someone to stay, and it's a great way to just be helpful to your viewers to surface really exceptional content. If you took anything away from this first section, I want it to be these three things when it comes to the algorithm. We could spend all day talking about SEO in general, let alone YouTube SEO, but the best videos for YouTube's algorithm are relevant, they're optimized, that's that technical SEO, and they're engaging. They make people want to react. They want to upvote it. They want to come back. They want to share it to their friend. They want to share it with their colleagues at work. That is how you should be thinking about it when you're creating new videos and when you're going back and fixing old videos, when you're redoing the keywords, you're retagging them, you're adding pinned comments. How are these relevant? So good channels set the foundation with SEO, but great YouTube channels have an exceptional brand experience. If you're going to drive revenue from YouTube, you have to nail this. The algorithm is not enough. So just like there were two parts to the algorithm that I want to talk about, there's two parts to the brand experience on YouTube I want to call out. The first is just your visual presentation of your brand. The next is the subscriber experience that you create. Viewers are important. Subscribers are your golden ticket on YouTube because those are the people that are most likely to become your future leads and your future customers. So you want to nail the subscriber experience on YouTube. But we're going to talk about visual experience first. When I inherited our channel in May of 2018, we had almost 200 videos that had been dumped into YouTube. And our channel looked like shit. I wish I had a video of it because it was awful, like not a HubSpot-looking product. So our team was debating, should we just scrap all the videos or should we just leave the old ones how they are and focus on creating really good new content? And someone reminded me of a really great anecdote with Apple. So this was an Apple computer in 1997. In 1997, Apple was nearly a failing company. They were on the verge of bankruptcy. They had really poor leadership and oversight. They were not differentiating themselves in the market. Who here has an Apple product of any kind? An iPhone, so pretty much every hand in the room. This doesn't sound like the Apple of 1997. So what changed? Well, Apple's leadership brought back in Steve Jobs, the founder of Apple, and they said, we need you to save us. Like, this is your baby. Where did we go wrong? And he's rumored to have pulled some of the big leadership into a room, and this was his diagnosis. He said, you know what's wrong with this company? The products suck. There's no sex in them. He wasn't talking about the hard wiring behind the scenes of the computer or the chips that it was using. He was talking about the way the product looked. This is ugly. I wouldn't want this in my house or in my office. So in 1997, after a year of bringing in some of the best product designers, Apple unveiled this computer, the now iconic iMac. This is one of Apple's fundamental turning points in the trajectory of their business, turning them into the behemoth that they are today, where a room like this, everyone raises their hands. So the takeaway here is that brand appearance matters. They didn't go and change a ton within the computer. Yes, they advanced it. It was another year after. But they fundamentally changed the way that it looked. They made it look like a better product, which gave it a whole new air of credibility in the market. So the best way to do this on YouTube is to leverage your custom thumbnails. This is the small thumbnail that you see for a video. They establish your brand identity. They also help to build consistency across your video assets, but not just your assets. They help create that bridge from YouTube to your products, your services. You want them to look a similar way so the users can create that mental leap. And they differentiate your content, both from the platform's interface and from your competitors. If you don't believe me, these are some big YouTube influencers. I encourage you to look at them. Brian Dean, Neil Patel, Vox has a channel, Netflix has a channel. If you go on any of these channels, you get a really clear picture that this is one cohesive brand. So this is an example of what one of our thumbnails looked like before I took over the channel. This tells me nothing. Are we talking about a library? Are we talking about question and answer about marketing, sales? Who knows? This is what that thumbnail looks like today for that video. It is exceptionally clear on what we're talking about. We're talking about SEO. We're talking about how Google finds, analyzes, and ranks content. The guy on the right is a guy named Matt Barbie. He's our director of SEO at HubSpot. Great guy if anyone knows him. And there's a few reasons we went this way. It's simple words. It's really clear text. These are some of our brand colors. You see our logo. And the reason we put Matt there isn't just because he's a good-looking British dude, but because there's some science behind this. So Netflix did a really fascinating case study. Netflix is in the business of video. They want people to click into their videos. They make money from that. They would be nothing without it. And in some A/B tests, they learned some really interesting things. These first two bullet points are things that we know just from science, from research. We're visual beings. We process images super fast, way faster than we process text. So your visuals are critical. But this A to B test that Netflix did tested a whole bunch of thumbnail types, and they uncovered that it's emotive faces that increase click-through rate. The direct quote is that images that have expressive facial emotion that convey the tone of the title do particularly well. Now for HubSpot Academy, we're business videos, so I don't know how emotive we can get. I hope people aren't like afraid of our content, or if you're super excited about it, that's great. But we can't get super emotive, but we can show human faces. We want to connect with other humans. We want to connect with the content. This is such a good way to do it. So if you have humans teaching your videos, show them off. It can also help increase your click-through rates into your videos. So this is what our channel looks like now that we've redone it. You can see that our brand is really clear. We have our colors. You can see our logos. The text is obvious. I hope in the back of the room you can read it. This is what your channel wants to look like. It's not monotonous. It's not boring. It's not only one color. But if you were to look at any of our videos or you were to find them in different search results, you would get a pretty quick sense that this is HubSpot that's providing the content. There's a few other ways you can really nail the visual experience in addition to custom thumbnails. You can add a custom channel banner. You can add a custom URL to your channel. You should be putting your brand logo. Again, we're talking about acquisition. You want to create that mental leap from YouTube all the way to your website, your products, your services. Put your logo there so they know how to recognize it. And then if you have the video resources, you should be adding a channel trailer. This will autoplay to anyone that's not a subscriber to your channel. And it's a really good way in 30 seconds to establish your value prop as a company, what you're doing, what you're trying to sell. It doesn't have to be salesy. In fact, it shouldn't, but it's a really good way to create a solid first impression so you can leverage YouTube for acquisition. All of these cumulatively work to establish and differentiate your brand on YouTube, which, as we saw with how much content is being put on there every single day, is really important. So this is what it looks like on the channel. You can see our custom URL, youtube.com/Hubspot Academy. You can see a really bright and inviting channel banner showing all of these great emotive faces who are teaching our content. You can see our logo, which is also reiterated on the thumbnails. And you can see our Grow Better video, which talks about the mission of HubSpot and HubSpot Academy and what we're doing in the world and why we believe in our products and why you should too. So some pro tips when it comes to the visual experience. If you're going to put copy on your thumbnail, keep it left and keep it short. The reason you want to keep it on the left is because YouTube adds a timestamp to the bottom right-hand corner. You don't want that to cut off your text, then that text is rendered useless. You also want it to be short because the video thumbnails can be really small at times. If someone's looking at your thumbnail on mobile, it's this big. So if you have a lot of text, they're not going to be able to see it. So keep it left and keep it short. You also want to pick your colors strategically. YouTube's interface is white, black, and red. You want to stand out from that, and you want to stand out from your competitors. Not a lot of people are doing custom thumbnails. They're just accepting the default. So when you put really bright colors, you're helping yourself pop when there's a sea of results for a video query. Brian Dean from Backlinko calls them Gobi colors: green, orange, blue, yellow. If that aligns with your brand, try to leverage those really bright colors. And then finally, show some emotion. If you have humans teaching your videos, add a human to the thumbnail. It can increase click-through rates, it just makes your content more accessible, and it's a really good way to show off the smart people who are investing their time to create these videos for your company. I want to transition now and make the leap to the subscriber experience. This is so important, probably the most important thing for acquisition on YouTube. I'm not going to talk a lot about video content creation. There's going to be a great talk on that later. But the most important takeaway is when you're creating content, it should be educational and it should be relevant. It should be not only relevant to the users, but it should be relevant to your products and your services. You want to build a really great bridge. I've said that 100 times, but I can't say it enough. We made such a mistake, and we dumped like really shitty content onto our channel. We had internal team building videos that made their way to our YouTube channel that had no value to a user. So create really good, educational, relevant content. This is going to be what attracts people to your channel and gets them to subscribe. No one wants to subscribe to something that adds no value to their life, so add value. Another thing that you can do is monitor for engagement. If you're posting videos and you're testing things out and something's getting a ton of likes or getting a ton of comments, a ton of questions, that's a really good sign that you should create more content like that. It's a great way to get your users engaged with you, involved with you, and to service their need so you can service yours. And a big one is that production doesn't need to be fancy, but it does need to be clear. Not every company is a company like HubSpot where we have a video team. In fact, when I took on this project, our video team didn't believe in YouTube, so we got 0 new resources, so we had to get really scrappy. And what we learned from that is that some of our best videos are actually really low production. Instead, what we would do is have some of the smartest people in our company volunteer their time, write a video script, and we'd give them a little light and a camera that they could attach to their laptop. And those videos were so engaging and so good because the content was brilliant. It was written by experts. So leverage the experts in your company. You don't have to invest in a video team. You don't have to record hour-long videos. Some of our best videos are short. That's okay. YouTube has some thoughts that longer videos might do better. But if that's not within your resources, that shouldn't be a barrier to you using YouTube. So be good, have the sound be clear, and have it be smart, educational, relevant. You don't have to go over the top. And then when it comes to subscribers and subscription services, who here has heard of Dollar Shave Club, for example? They're a big subscription service. It's a company that delivers razors on a monthly cadence. No one would subscribe to Dollar Shave Club if they sent you socks instead of razors. Fair? That's fair. So it's the same thing with any subscription service. People who subscribe want to know what they're getting when they subscribe. So it's about identifying your product fit with your market and creating content around that. And then it's about being consistent. You don't have to publish a video every day. You don't have to publish every week. You may not even be able to publish every month. That's probably the most you want to go, but you want it to be consistent when you do. You want your subscribers to know, I can count on HubSpot to give me a video every Monday and Friday, or I can count on Company X to give me something on the first day of every month. That way, they're going to subscribe and come back. And then next, you want to test your publishing date and time. Our market is a lot of professionals, people during the working day. So we don't want to put a video out there at 11 a.m. when someone's in meetings. So we've learned that some of the best times that work are early in the morning when most of our viewers are commuting to work, because they get the notification from YouTube at that time, and even if they can't watch it then, they bookmark it mentally or physically and watch it later. So test your publishing times to learn what works for your audience. All of these things come together to make a really good subscriber experience, and when someone believes in you and they subscribe, they're going to be so much more inclined to take a look at your website to see what you have to say outside of YouTube. Some pro tips when it comes to the subscriber experience. We talked about all of these, but quality is really everything. Again, not fancy, but it does need to sound good, it needs to look clear, and it needs to be really, really solid content. Next, you want to develop that routine. And then a pro tip for all of you, if you don't have a ton of video resources or a ton of extra time, carve out one day to do your recording. Of course, you're going to want to write scripts in advance, be strategic and thoughtful about what you have to say, but record it in one stretch. Do 10 one-minute videos in one day and leverage YouTube's publishing tool to schedule those out in advance. That could be 10 months of content in one day for your business. The most important thing, treat your viewers like they're paying for a premium subscription service. Even though YouTube is free, that doesn't mean you should skimp out on the experience. If you have a premium product off of YouTube, nailing the free experience is going to be the best way to get them to believe they should invest in your premium experience off of the platform. So next I want to talk about the off of the platform. How do you get people from YouTube to your site, to your products, to your services? It's conversion links. There are a ton of ways you can link from YouTube to your site, your products, your landing pages, wherever you want to send them. These are what turn your viewers and subscribers into your company's leads and ultimately your company's customers. So what are the different options? There is one caveat here, and there are certain links that are gated to channels that are a part of the YouTube Partner Program. Those requirements can feel steep if you have a new or a young channel. It's about 4,000 hours of viewing, and I think 1,000 subscribers. You'd want to check with YouTube on Google to be sure. But that shouldn't dissuade you. I'll show you some data in a second as to why the available to all user links are still worth doing. So you can add a channel banner link. You can add a description link to your videos. And then if you're in the YouTube Partner Program, you can also leverage cards and end screen links. The most important thing, if you're going to put cards and end screen links, if they're going to be interruptive to the video, is that they should be additive. They shouldn't feel intrusive, even though they visually are inherently a little bit intrusive when you have a pop-up. The way we combat this with our net new content is we speak to our links. We point up to them and say, do you like this content so far? Well, great. We have an entire course on this that you can take for free. Click here to get it. Or did you know we have an email marketing tool? Why don't you check it out? You're an email marketer. So we speak to them, we point to them, and we make it additive, not intrusive. For cards, we put ours at the 15-second mark. We found this as sort of our sweet spot because it's late enough in the video where it's not the very first thing you see. That feels spammy. But it's not late enough where if someone's going to abandon the video, they're going to miss the conversion link altogether. So 15 seconds has worked for us. And then end screens, you're going to see way less conversions because they're at the end of your video, but these are really high intent users. If someone has watched till the very end, they're bought in. So make sure you're adding those end screen links because that is a golden ticket to get those really valuable YouTube viewers to become your next customers for your company. So like I said, not all the links are available to everyone, but that's actually okay because our most impactful links are our description links. Far and away, 80% of our conversions from our YouTube links come from those description links, followed by cards, and then our channel banner, which isn't even in a video, and our end screens. So if you're going to do this, leverage description links first and foremost. If you don't have time to go back and add all those other links, start there. This is what they all look like, though, from our channel. So you'll see our custom banner link. It's pretty small, but works pretty effectively. This is an end screen. You have our description link over there, which I'm going to talk about more in a minute. And then you have the card. That's the expanded version of the card. Normally, they just pop up with the little eye. So that's what all those links look like. Some pro tips. We talked about this, but you want to time your link drops. You want to cue them verbally. You want it to be at a time where it's additive, not intrusive. So if you're not talking about your email marketing certification, you probably shouldn't drop a random link. So plan your content around when you're going to show your links. If you are going to add description links, which you should, beware that the descriptions get cut off. They get truncated by YouTube between 150 and 200 characters. So for us, we write really short descriptions, and we make sure that you can always see a bit.ly link before they condense the rest of the description. We then add really helpful long descriptions beneath that, but if viewers aren't clicking into that, you've already lost the conversion potential there. So make sure your link is the focal point of your description in addition to a helpful sentence or two. And then if you want to get granular about tracking, make sure that you're building tracking URLs when you're adding these conversion links so you can get that bucket, that picture, that pie chart of what is most effective for your company. YouTube won't automatically append those URLs, so it's on you to create those and put them in via a bit.ly or to show the full link, but add tracking parameters if you want to get granular with data. Lastly, I want to talk about growth accelerators. We saw a ton of success just using these tactics. We didn't run paid ads for months, and we saw our percentages jump by hundreds of points. So you don't have to do anything additional beyond those first 3 strategies to start to see growth. But if you're starting to see that those first 3 are working really well, and you want to take YouTube to a new level, there's 2 ways that we do it. We multi-channel promote, and we do occasionally run some paid ads, specifically when we have business goals around a certain video, or there's a time when we have budget at the end of the quarter and we think we can put more into getting YouTube subscribers. But leveraging all channels is a really critical one. We talked about this really early at the beginning with that link that led out from the description to one of our blog posts where we had cross-linked the content. This is a really good way to do this. If you have a blog at your company, raise your hand if you have a blog at your company. So again, pretty much everyone in the room, create videos and tie them in. It's such a good backlinking strategy. It only elevates both pieces of content, and it's a really quick win to drive more traffic. Another thing that we do is we have really engaged email subscriber lists for our blogs, for our platforms. A lot of them didn't even know we had a YouTube channel. So one day we thought, should we throw a video into this email? And we saw nearly 1,000 subscriber spike in one day because nobody knew we had this. It's content that they wanted, that they were opting into. They just didn't know it was out there in the world. So multi-channel promote, put it in your email list, continue to put things in social posts long after you publish the video. This is a really good way to keep continued view velocity on a video, so you don't just get that initial spike, but you get that wave-like spike, which is really good for search engines and is really good for your content, good for your viewers. And it makes your content valuable over time. There's nothing worse than spending resources to create a video and then thinking, well, we're never going to use this again. Let's go to the next one. So leverage your social channels and your other marketing channels to continually promote. And then if you want to really speed up growth, there are a number of paid ad types you can run on YouTube. You'd want to test these. We had to do a lot of testing until we found the ones that worked for us. We really leveraged discovery ads. That's been the most successful for us to drive subscribers to our channel. That might change based on your business goals. But this is a really, really good way to get fast growth. My only caution to you is be smart about how you show ads. Most of you know HubSpot, and we believe deeply in the inbound philosophy. We do not like to be spammy with our ads. We're not randomly casting out a net and hoping people bite. We do things like retargeting our audiences, surfacing it to people who have already raised their hand or showed interest, and we want to make them aware of an additional channel that they might not know about. So ads, just like links, should be helpful, not intrusive. But it's a really good way to get fast growth, and it's a really good way to show people your content who might not know it exists. So I want to go back to the beginning. I showed you those metrics of an 800% increase in video views and a 450% increase in subscribers. But those are YouTube metrics. How did this affect our lead gen? Did we actually drive revenue for this? The short answer is yes, we actually did. This has real-life implications for your business. This is a month before I inherited the channel. This was August of this year. That line doesn't look all that steep, but that's because these intervals are pretty big. That is a 1,000% increase in lead gen over this time. 1,000% for a company like HubSpot, where we have already exhausted so many acquisition channels. You should be doing this at your company. I guarantee you that you will see great results from YouTube too. So in summary, there are 4 themes to this presentation. You want to attract your viewers through search. SEO is the foundation to YouTube success. You cannot apply any of these other strategies if you are ignoring the algorithm. Next, you want to delight your viewers with your brand. You want them to fall in love with your YouTube channel so they come to fall in love with your products and your services. You want it to be fun. You want it to be engaging. If people are commenting, comment back. We have someone who monitors our channel, so viewers actually feel valued. They know that we're going to engage if they reach out. It's like a customer service organization for a free channel like YouTube. That's a rock star experience when you're a YouTube viewer. Next, create those conversion opportunities. If someone's ready to hand raise and say, I like you on YouTube, I'm ready to take the next step with you, reduce all of those barriers to access. Make it incredibly easy for them to convert. And then finally, if all of those strategies worked, accelerate your growth. Use things like paid ads, experiment, be helpful with them, multi-channel promote, and you'll see your channel blow up just like we did. Thank you so much for your time. Have a great day at Growth Marketing Stage, and I'm so happy to have been here with all of you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We still have time for questions. Raise your hand. Yeah, you are the first. Okay.
Hello, thank you.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yes.
What is the best distribution channel to promote your videos that works for you? So Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, your existing customer base, or what?
Great question. Far and away, it's our existing customer base. Whenever we put these in email newsletters, we see huge spikes to the point where it's so tempting that we now are like, okay, we have to stop putting in this in every email because it's starting to feel spammy, but it's amazing the spikes that we get right away. We also put it on Twitter a lot, Facebook a lot. I don't know if those are quite as effective, but really our existing customer base is the big one. Putting them in email lists has been really successful for us.
Okay, next one. There was a hand. Yep, right there.
Thank you so much for the speech. It was great. I'm not sure whether you can share this data, but what's the percentage of acquired customers from the specific channels compared to all of the other channels? Because we did see some growing numbers, which is good, which is perfect, but still, what's the value for the business itself?
I love that you asked that question because it gives me a chance to brag a little bit. So for acquisition marketers, you know that it's hard to create new acquisition channels. It takes a lot of time to build them, and it's really critical because channels do experience fatigue over time, so you have to constantly be thinking about your next channel. For us, in 12 months, it became a top 5 lead gen channel. So the proof is in the data with YouTube. It worked really quick, which is pretty rare in acquisition channels.
And a quick suggestion. This is how I would ask question. My name's Yaroslav. I'm a co-founder of GMS and PMM at MacPo. I have a question. It's really good when you introduce yourself before the question, okay? Thank you.
Okay, I'll try to do that. My name is Igor, and my question is, I work at MacPo. YouTube is not about just viewing, it's also about commenting. Have you seen examples of people using comment sections strategically? I don't know, maybe placing your comments to the appropriate videos relevant to your brand, maybe comment bots, I don't know.
Yeah, we see really engaged comments. One thing I want to clarify in your question, are you talking about them linking out to their own products and services or just having really engaged conversations with us via the comment section?
Maybe both.
Sure. We hope and try that people don't add their own links to our comment section because we're selfish and we want them to click our link, not someone else's. But we do try to make it a dialogue. So if someone says, I have a channel that talks a lot about email marketing, that's the example I've used a lot today, we ask them questions back. Well, what strategies are you using? Did we miss something? We want it to be collaborative, not competitive. And those are people that will either maybe become customers of ours or will have really good things to say about HubSpot. The biggest thing that you can do is create positive word of mouth. So we try not to put down other people or stop them from linking out. And like I said, when it comes to the comment section, we have someone that monitors ours consistently. When someone comments on your video, you're going to get a notification on the channel. Respond. If you do, you will give someone such a great delight experience that they often don't expect from big brands. And to have them talking back and forth with an expert, we identify ourselves. I'll say, I'm Bella Valentini. I'm an acquisition marketer at HubSpot. Thanks for this question. Here's my take on it. If someone comments on our SEO videos, I loop in my SEO team, Victor Pan, our great technical SEO at HubSpot, and I say, Victor, what do you think about this? How would you advise? So we take the time and we tap our experts for answers, and it creates such a great relationship with our viewers, and it's one of the reasons we've seen so much subscriber growth is because our viewers know that they're going to get value from actually subscribing.
So you better raise your hand now to be the first for the next question.
Yeah. Hi, thank you. My name is Alexandra. I'm a content writer, Innovation Group company. In addition to the previous question, do you have any tips how to work with negative comments, if you have such?
It definitely happens, and that's a big cautionary tale when you're going to run paid ads. When you cast a wider net, you also get a lot of wacky people who found your video by accident and will post very strange things. When we get crazy comments or derogatory comments, we actually delete them, which is in some ways bad for SEO because we're deleting an engagement factor, but nobody wants to see junk when they're looking at your videos, so we take that small hit. Other times we let people express their opinions. Like, we consider ourselves an expert, but there's no one expert in any of these topics. So if someone thinks they can do it better than us, share what you have to say. Maybe we can learn something from you, and maybe if not, we'll talk about it behind your back, and we'll talk about it as a team and say this person's completely wrong. But sometimes you just have to let it happen. When you're on a channel that's public, you can't control everything. Yeah.
Okay, last question.
Hi.
Hi.
My name is Wagner. I'm the marketing director of Crisp. So I had a question about the cost of acquisition. How is your cost of acquisition of users coming from YouTube compared to the other channels and compared to your average cost of acquisition?
It's a really good question. Candidly, we're still gathering that data because this is a fairly new channel for us, even though it's been 17 months. Much of those 17 months was me hacking the channel to make it work for acquisition. So now we're starting to think more about the long-term holistic metrics. So I don't have an exact answer, but one thing I will say is that the cost goes up, obviously, when we run ads because we have to pay to get some of those users. But much of our growth has happened with 0 paid ads. So it's pretty much free acquisition to us because they're fully opting in. Finding us through search, that the only thing that costs there is my time and talent at HubSpot. And they're doing all of this through their own election. So it's a pretty reasonable channel in that way. But in terms of how it compares to our others, it's a little too soon for us to tell.
Okay, so let's do this. I saw at least 3-4 hands. Bella's staying here. She's not leaving the conference now, right?
Not yet.
Feel free to come and ask your questions. And a round of applause for Bella. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn if you have questions, if you're nervous to ask in person, or find me here today and we'll talk more.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.